Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. So, let's talk about making promises to demons. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I don't want to just declare a blanket statement that making pacts with demons and stuff is wrong. Don't do it, run away. No. But what I am suggesting is if you do, no, what I am suggesting is that it's not necessary. But if you do, don't forget your end of the bargain. Now, it's all well and good for me to say, look, you don't need to make any promises. They'll do the job you tell them to do without you making promises. Okay. But if you feel somehow morally obliged to make some kind of a deal, like you promise them that you'll inscribe their sigil in stone or something that'll last centuries. If you promise them something, do it. Okay. Don't forget. Okay, don't forget your promise. I say this from experience, and the experience helped teach me what the nature of this kind of magic is, so it was a valuable lesson. But the point is, two things. You don't need to do it. And secondly, if you do, hold up your end of the bargain. Otherwise, there will be a reaction, okay, that will take place, and it'll be your own fault. And you'll think, oh, the demon was all mad at me and did this. No, you were mad at yourself. Okay, whether you know it or not. Anyway, to give you an example, here is a question. Somebody sent this. This is, of course, in Ask Babylon. I was just starting my Goetia practice 3 years ago. I made a black mirror, a circle, and the other stuff, which Poke Runyon described in his book, which Poke Runyon book, The Magic of Solomon, Solomon's Magic. Really good book, Poke Runyon. I spent several months mastering Tratakam and other auto-hypnosis things. This is part of Poke's training. Good stuff. That time I was evoking Orobos, I decided to ask him to give me a new career opportunities. During the evocation, I usually get the spirit's image, but I often lose audio contact. I'm working on this problem now. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about there. I had the same situation that day. Therefore, after his coming, which I could see in the mirror, I requested of him to provide me with new career opportunities and promised him to make his sigil on the metal plate, quote, which will last forever, unquote, as you described in your Goetia book. I gave him license to depart and closed the temple. Yes, that in my earliest Goetic evocation, I did make the same spirit as a matter of fact, Orobos, that I would engrave his seal in tin or galvanized steel, and it would last forever. Okay, so I did that, okay? And I kept my promise. Okay. I would later find out I didn't need to do that. Oribos doesn't give a shit, Okay. The result of that evocation was very strong. 5 or 6 days later, I got a series of phone calls from companies that wanted to hire me on very good conditions. I eventually accepted one of the offers. What happened after that? I was so busy with the new position that I postponed paying Oribos by making his metal sigil. I delayed payment for at least 8 to 9 months, which I now see was really stupid from my side. Well, he's making that position. One day I began to see really strange things happening around me. Initially, I had bad dreams that night. During the day, I was walking near electric poles. 5 to 8 crows were literally chasing me, flying from one pole to another and cawing loudly all the time. During the day, I noticed some strange conflicts appearing from nowhere. So clearly there was something wrong happening, and after my returning home, I decided to perform the banishing ritual of the pentagram. I just started to do the Kabbalistic cross when I touched the fourth point saying Vegudula. I was shocked by the loud sound of an explosion just over my head, originating at the point where we usually place Kether during the middle pillar exercise. The sound was very loud and dry, as if someone was sharply tearing old, thick, dry canvas. I was shocked initially, but several minutes later I managed to perform the ritual of the pentagram and repeated it several times in every room of my apartment with no sounds that time. The next weekend, I made the metal sigil of Oribos and left it in a forest. The next day after that, I began to see signs of strong sympathy from people who initially had strange, unexpected conflicts with me for no reason. Several weeks after that, I made a second sigil of Oribos and again dropped it in a forest. Although I don't have direct proof that these phenomena were caused by Oribos, I have a strong feeling that it was the work of him or his familiars. It seems I made him upset by delaying payment for so long. What do you think about it? Do you know similar cases of harassment when people were delaying payment to Goetic entities for their work done? Let's see. Several months later, I was evoking Oribos again. We had a reorganization in our company. I asked him for protection and positive outcome. During that evocation, I had a picture but lost hearing of him, so I closed the temple. That same night, I had a dream. A human person who looked like a photo negative, black face and white background, came to my dream and calmed me down, giving me information about positive outcomes for me after the chaos of the reorganization. In that case, again, I had a strong feeling that it was either Oribos or his familiar. It's interesting that he looked like Belial in your Goetia book. I saw no horse features, but a person like on a photo negative. What do you think about that? In your Goetia book, you mentioned the results that brought by Goetic demons often have a typical demonic infernal hue. In my case, I had it too. Oribos did what I asked him, but the result had such negative aspects, and at some point all that stuff became unacceptable for me. It's quite interesting how they work. I am now working on auto-hypnosis and Tradecam techniques to improve my hearing abilities, since sometimes I lose audio contact with them while I still have visual contact. Now, I confess I've never had audio contact, okay? I've heard myself talking to myself and saying things that are wiser than I would come up with myself sometimes. But anyway, sorry this has been such a long letter, but I'd be very interested in your comments about these events. I'm sure you have extensive Goetic experience. Thank you very much. Name withheld. Okay, if you've ever, and I've written several books that feature Goetic evocation as part of the text, and I always stress that superstition truly has no place in Goetic evocation, and if it's put there, it encourages inaccurate interpretations of what is happening. What is really happening is far spookier than and far more wonderful than interpreting things as pissing off a demon and him having a bunch of crows chase you. It has more to do with real, powerful, scary, wonderful powers taking place in you. Well, here's my answer. This is a person that came to Monday night class, so I said it was a pleasure meeting you. Okay, your Goetic experiences are very interesting and for the most part characteristic of this kind of operation. When you charge a spirit to do something for you and promise it something, if it succeeds, you are in a sense writing that contract with yourself on the paper of your subconscious mind. Of course, that's going to eat at you if you don't uphold your end of the deal, and eventually that attracts unwanted energy and forces around you. I should have added that even long after you've put it on the back burner of your memory or have forgotten it altogether, your subconscious mind does not forget. The fact that unpleasant or, quote, infernal phenomena accompany the fulfillment of your request indicates that your request was initially not well thought out, or it was stated in such a way that was not entirely compatible with your own best interests. That's why it's very important for you to take great pains to formulate in your mind what it is you really want from the operation. I'm reminded of the time my dear friend David P. Wilson, or S. Jason Black, evoked Payaman for the purpose of securing a particular job with a talent agency in Hollywood. Okay, it was a particular, I want this particular position, okay? Not, I want a position where I'll be happy, or not a position where I'll be successful, or not a position that is in harmony with my own true will, not a position that is compatible with the trajectory of my own evolution. No, I want this particular job in this particular agency at this particular time. Okay. But I digress. He sacrificed a rat to Payaman and used the blood to sign a most breathtakingly beautiful hand-painted document, a pact with the spirit. The pact stipulated that if David got the job, he would make Payaman an offering of blood every month on the anniversary of the evocation. you gotta you gotta hand it to David. He had style. Okay, he had a sense of black magic art uh, that was more colorfully intense than anyone else I've ever known, and that might not have been a good thing, but it certainly was. It certainly was a style. Okay. David got the job, okay, which was a bit more stressful than he imagined. Each day he came home exhausted, his nerves completely shot. Needless to say, he forgot the monthly sacrifices and at the end of 90 days admitted himself to the hospital emergency room with abdominal pains. The doctor told him he had a bleeding ulcer. Now, don't be too concerned if your spirit doesn't neatly match the descriptions you've read in the books. It's been my experience that a successfully evoked spirit may look much different than how they are described in books by other magicians. Even the characters and moods of the spirits may be dramatically different. My aura boss can be a sweetheart, and yours might eat you alive. It appears to me that you have a natural talent for this kind of magic, which, if used wisely, can be an important tool in your quest for enlightenment. I wouldn't, however, think it should be anyone's only tool. Signed, Babylon. Okay. Can you see David's beautiful pact to Payaman? Okay. It literally ate at him subconsciously, or maybe even a little bit consciously. And stress like that can indeed trigger bleeding ulcers. In a sense, he made a monthly blood sacrifice just like he agreed to do. My point is, Payaman would have done that for him without any kind of contract. The power that is generated by the magician in a Goetic evocation is the power that they generate within themselves by not succumbing to the temptation of dealing with the spirit. The spirit, in a sense, is your obstacle, is your problem. The reason you're doing this is because for your whole life you've been trying to make deals with this, okay? The reason a Goetic spirit can help you is that the Goetic spirit is your problem, and it's time for you, with the ceremony, to stop making deals. There's a scene in Monty Python's The Life of Brian where the condemned people are lining up for crucifixion. And there's a guy with a clipboard, and the guy comes up and he says, "Crucifixion?" And the guy says, "Yes, crucifixion." He says, "Well, down the corridor to your right, one cross each." Okay, and they go down and they have to pick up their own cross and carry. And the next guy goes up and says, "Crucifixion?" And he says, "Oh, yes, yes. Well, down the hall to your left, one cross each." And the next guy comes up and he goes, "Crucifixion?" And he says, No, they're going to let me go." And the guy with the clipboard says, "Very well then, off you go." That's what I'm talking about. whipping up a Goetic spirit and saying, "Oh, Constance is coming in to put her in her 2 cents."
No, I didn't hear anything except that.
Oh,
I was
okay.
quite pleased with it.
Look what manifested in my triangle over here. The you could whip up a Goetic spirit to do something just innocuous, so like give me a job or get a good job opportunity or something like that. And the spirit says, "I can do that, but you gotta kill the vicar." You know. Well, that's like crucifixion. And all you have to do is say, "No, I'm not going to kill any vicar." And the spirit says, "Well, very well then. What do you want?" Okay, so that's the technique. You can promise them stuff if it somehow makes you feel good to promise them stuff that you're holding up your end of the deal. But if you do, don't forget it, because it'll eat at you from the inside, and that will take the allegorical appearance of infernal attack of some kind. That's it's yourself eating at yourself. Would you like to add anything?
Well, yes, it would take away your own sense of personal honor, because you know that all services rendered need to be paid for. So if you're going to agree to something, make sure it's something you don't care about paying for.
Yeah. I'll give you a shiny new penny. Okay.
And as for the crucifixion, that's story, that's just a blatant pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional.
Well,
The mailman agrees.
and the mailman agrees. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will.
See you tomorrow.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but I did.